Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box Podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Maria.
My name's Harry.
And welcome to the October Roundtable. Woo! Hey Who fans, hope you're keeping well and safe. We hope you've had a cracking few weeks since the last roundtable. We hope you've done something Doctor
Who related.
Related.
Oh. Didn't fill the lungs up enough for that one. No. Yeah. Hope you've done something Who related. Dear listener, welcome back to another roundtable. For October, spooky season is upon us. Of course. We were going to do the cliche. We were going to go down the usual route.
What are the top 5 scariest Doctor Who episodes to watch at Halloween?
It's been done like a billion times. You know. Plus, we have a couple of articles on the blog for that. And, yeah. Basically, Blink, Satan Pit, Hyde, those kind of things. Someone did mention one the other day. We were talking about this the other day, and someone was like, "Oh, why didn't you mention so and so?" I can't remember what it is though. There's another story that people gravitate towards for the spooks.
Link?
No, Midnight.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Can't miss that one out. Creepy one, that. So, yeah, spooky season. It's a shame that our good friend and team member Jordan's not here because he's into all the ghostly goings-on and spooks and all that stuff.
We could have had another ghost story.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
From old Jay, from George. Yeah. Actually, a little plug for another podcast then. So, Jordan
yes, of course.
got in contact with, was it Peter Laws? Is it the Peter Laws podcast? Dan Laws? Stephen Laws?
Peter Laws, I think you're right.
It is Peter, isn't it? Of course, yeah. So the podcast, the Peter Laws podcast, Jordan got in contact with him a little while ago, and I believe it's his latest episode or the one before that, just retells Jordan's experience of when he was working in a certain shop a few years back and had some not nice experiences that shook him a little bit. Shook him to the core. And he's been a believer since then. So, yeah, go and check out Jordan's story on the Peter Laws podcast. It's very good. But, yeah, it's a shame he's not here.
It's called Into the Fog. Into the Fog by Peter Laws. Yeah. I'll stick a link in the show notes. Go and check it out. It's a good listen. Anyway, I'm not going to do the whole spooky season stuff, but we are going to talk about a couple of things on this month's roundtable. The agenda is thusly. First of all, some big news dropped today for Doctor Who. Everybody can exhale now. Everybody can relax, pull your panties out of your bum a little bit. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, no. Doctor Who, what's going on? Just relax. Pull your panties out. Just relax, yeah? It's all good. We knew this was coming. So some big news drop for that. We'll get to that. And then we did the thing that we did last time where we just threw it out to the guys on the proverbial virtual round table and said, what story do you want to talk about? And Maria came up with a belter from the classic years. The Aztecs. We'll talk about that one. When did we review that? Adam and myself on the actual pod. I was going to ask you that, Gary. When did you last review it? Because I don't remember it being very recent.
It was a while ago. While I'm looking that up, you guys, Maria, how have you been?
I've been good. We're obviously into the autumn now, so
What have I done that's Doctor Who related? I did go to a screening at Riverside Studios of The Ark, which is a William Hartnell story. It features Dodo and Stephen. So obviously it's really exciting that we're going to be reviewing the Aztecs, because I really feel that, William Hartnell sometimes does get a little bit forgotten, when we're sort of talking about Doctors, in terms of, everyone gets excited about the latest Doctors, or they're kind of talking about the new series, and it's nice to kind of throw a little bit of love his way. But yeah, that screening was really good. It was better than I kind of expected. I think The Ark is a story that sometimes doesn't get. It's not one of the classics, I would say, of Doctor Who. But I remember the first time that I saw it, I was really surprised at how it kind of twists and turns a little bit within the story. And I think it's actually really, for the time, I think it's ambitious. And, they do try a lot of different things with it in terms of special effects. The direction is really good. They use some new techniques. So it's actually a really good story to have for a screening. And at the screening, we had two writers. So we had James Goss and Gavin Rymill there. And what they do is they give a watcher's guide to each episode before you watch it. And then there's a little discussion after the episode's aired. And they kind of, I think they're both kind of really geeky. So they're looking at all the technical stuff around it, some stories behind the scenes. So it makes it a really interesting afternoon. So they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. It's quite a nice, relaxed event. And they do have them every few months. So it's quite nice to go to a screening and just show a little bit of love towards a story that maybe you wouldn't have thought about.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And your review of that is up on the blog, isn't it? So
my review, it went up I think it was this week. So have a read of that. There's some fun facts in there, some interesting things to say about the episode, and it's the first appearance of Dodo as well. And she's an interesting character. Her accent kind of goes from posh to Cockney to Northern, depending on where she is in the story. So, but no, seriously, I think it's a good story, and I really enjoyed that screening. I don't think I've done anything else. Have I watched any Doctor Who? I can't remember if I have. I think I probably have. I think I watched the Happiness Patrol a while back. I don't know why, but I really kind of go back to that story quite a lot. And I don't know if it's because, I've seen it a few times recently, and I just really rate it. And, it's good to watch Sylvester McCoy stories. Then most of them are pretty good. So, yeah.
True.
So I think I watched that a while ago. And that's about it for me in terms of Doctor Who related material. Oh, actually, no, saying that, I haven't done Doctor Who stuff, but I have been watching some sci-fi on Sky Mix every evening, weekday evening. They have repeats of Star Trek, the Next Generation, and also Deep Space Nine.
Christ.
So I'm coming home in the evening, and I'm kind of distracted by kind of watching Star Trek for 2 hours. And I haven't watched all of it, to be fair. I don't think I got to the end of Deep Space Nine, so I'm really enjoying actually. I'm enjoying that. It's giving me that sci-fi fix that I really need. So that's what I've been doing.
Oh, sounds good. I remember a friend of mine kept banging on at me for years to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, because I'm not really a Trekkie, to be honest with you. I kind of dip in and out. But I remember watching through the first season of The Next Generation and thinking, okay, I've watched about 72 episodes. There must be an end to this season somewhere. And I look online, it's like, oh, you've got another 200 and something episodes to go. It was back in the day, in the sort of the 90s, 2000s, when US shows had like at least 20 odd episodes a season.
Yeah. I mean,
dragged on a bit.
There's a lot to get through. I mean, I think the first couple of seasons are really kind of setting up your characters, and then it kind of goes into their personal lives, and you have episodes that are kind of character centric, so they concentrate on certain characters. I've noticed that with Deep Space Nine. I think they have those arc stories where the story kind of has an overarching arc, but then they've got all these character driven ones. And if you like that character, then that episode's quite enjoyable. But if you don't really like that character very much, it can be a little bit of a turn off because they are a bit variable. I mean, I do enjoy Deep Space Nine, I must admit, and there are some good characters in it. For anyone that loves Star Trek, I think you have to watch those series really. On top of the original 1960s series, I haven't really watched a lot of the newer stuff. To be fair, I think it's just because it's not on a channel that I can access easily because I don't have a lot of the streaming services. So, but yeah, gotcha. I'm a happy bunny every evening. Next nice. Generation, then Deep Space Nine. It's filling that sci-fi fix that I need. Because without Doctor Who on the TV, it's hard going.
True. Wow. Maria's up to her eyeballs in sci-fi as usual. Very nice. Harry, how have you been, old buddy?
Yeah, Gary, I'm pretty good. I've had, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I've had a pretty good month in terms of Doctor Who related stuff. So I've
nice.
also been watching a bit of Sylvester McCoy. I'm on season 26 now. I'm watching them slowly, but I rewatched The Greatest Show in the Galaxy for the first time in years. Probably the second time ever, to be fair. I think the first time I watched it, I was probably a teenager, and that's a brilliant story. That's a really good, really underappreciated. People don't talk about that one enough. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved that. I loved that story. I went to the Adventures in Time and Space in Peterborough again. I did that weekend just gone. It's about to close, so I think by the time people are listening to this, it's probably not much use saying go along and visit because it's probably closed by now. But
you missed your window.
Yeah, unfortunately. But hopefully, I was talking to a volunteer who worked at the museum, and they didn't say that it would never come. They didn't say it would come back, but they didn't say that it would never come back as well. So take that with a pinch of salt. It might see the light of day again. But yeah, it was lovely to visit that again. They added the secondary console. Since the last time I was there, it was a replica built by some of the art students or product design students at Peterborough, the local university. But it was really cool. It was really cool, like seeing a recreation of it. So yeah, that was wicked. And of course we had Terror of the Zygons at the BFI, which was for me very last minute. I wasn't expecting to go, but at the 11th hour, you had a ticket, your good self, Gary. So I went along to that. I don't normally go to the BFI screening, so it was lovely to attend one, especially for season 13, which a season that I absolutely love. I think we all absolutely love it. And yeah, that was a great day. We have Blake 7 coming up at the BFI as well, because we couldn't get enough of it. So yeah, that'll be awesome. I think that's in a week and a half, something like that. So yeah. So it's been not to toot my own horn, but a really good Doctor Who related month for me, I think.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Maria's just reminded us that the exhibition is open until this Sunday, the 2nd of November.
And if you happen to be listening just before that final weekend, Sylvester McCoy is going to be there, I think, on the Sunday that it closes. So if there's still a few tickets left for that event, then go ahead and visit the museum if you can. But yeah, it's looking a bit slim, unfortunately. You can always read my article on it. I wrote an article on it, and you can sort of vicariously experience it through that. There's loads of like YouTube videos as well on it, so it's worth taking a look at. They put a lot of work into it.
So when you went, Harry, did they have a lot of original costumes, or were there replicas there as well?
It was a mix. It was about half and half. So a lot of it was recreation, especially like they had a room that was dedicated to Daleks and a room that was dedicated to Cybermen. Most of those were recreated costumes, which I didn't mind because I thought it was really cool to physically see kind of a history of the Daleks and a history of the Cybermen. But also there are loads of original stuff that they sourced as well. Particularly what I was most enamored with, well, two things actually. One, it was Marco Polo's tunic, which was also Richard the Lionheart's tunic in the Crusade. That was amazing to see. And there was also one of the space station Nerva, like space uniforms that they had from the Ark in Space. One of those original ones as well, which was really cool. Yeah, there was a mix. Yeah, lots of really cool like original stuff. Like, yeah, it's always cool to see it. I love going to Doctor Who exhibitions. It was cracking.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, really good one. And was that your second time, did you say?
Yes, it was so good. I had to visit again. And also it's a short train ride for me, so it's easier said than done. But yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for any. I'm sure it won't be the last. There'll be other Doctor Who exhibitions, definitely. So just keep your eyes peeled, basically.
Can I mention some sad news that I heard this week? That was released. Nabil Shaban, who played Syl in the 1980s, Vengeance on Barross and Mind Warp, and he also did another production that was done by Keith Barnfather, who does the real time videos. I think it's called The Devil's Seeds of Alador. It was very sad to hear that he passed away this week. I suppose it kind of resonates with me because the 1980s was kind of my era when I was watching the show and I was a real fan. So I was really sad to hear about that because I think Syl was such a well realized character. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because that made me quite sad hearing about that this week.
Yeah, no, I saw that earlier in the week. Yeah, it's sad. I think he was 72 when he passed away. But yeah, I mean, an entertaining character in an episode, sometimes unintentionally entertaining. But there's no denying at all that those scenes that he's in it's like you can't look away.
You can't. Yeah.
It's just so good. Yeah. Yes. So, oh dear. So, yeah, leaves us because I remember over the years, whenever we've done news where Doctor Who actors have left us over the years, it's always a really because it hits you because the actor themselves have passed away, of course, which is sad news. But then it just sort of adds to the ongoing list of people that are leaving us who were involved in Classic Who, and yeah, so it's like a double whammy when we lose people from Classic Who. So
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of obviously I'm aware when older actors or people behind the scenes kind of pass away from the 1970s and 1960s, and I suppose you kind of imagine, because obviously they worked so long ago on the series that I suppose it doesn't touch you as much, but because it's the 1980s and he wasn't really that old, I suppose it just made me sad to hear about that because he was I think he was he played a unique character and I think he was a actor as well that I think he fought for disability rights as well and things like that. So, it was quite sad to sort of hear about his passing, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. It was sad. So, yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Maria. That's, Nabil Shaban leaves us at age 72. Okay, on to some news then. We've only got one piece to talk about, and it was dropped earlier today by the BBC on their official social channels, and it is the following news. The BBC can confirm that Doctor Who will be back on our screens next year for Christmas 2026, the Crimbo special, written by the man himself, Maria's favourite showrunner, Russell T Davies. He's going to write the Crimbo special, and this is on the back end of that main story. There are two other sort of mini stories. The first one was that Disney Plus will not be partnering with BBC Studios or Bad Wolf Studios any further once the spin-off The War Between the Land and Sea have gone out. That will be it. No more sort of production partnering. There will still be, I assume there will be like leftover streaming rights and stuff where international people will still be able to stream Doctor Who on Disney Plus for a while, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. But in terms of making new Doctor Who, that will no longer be a thing with Disney Plus. And it looks like they've not mentioned any other streaming partners. So I'm going to, I know it's always wrong to assume, but I'm going to assume that moving forward, BBC Studios and Bad Wolf are just going to sort of co-create Doctor Who with a smaller budget allocated by the Beeb. So that's the first sort of sub-story. And then the second one is the spin-off that I just mentioned, The War Between the Land and the Sea. Call it what you want. The war betwixt land and the sea, Tabualasa, surf and turf, whatever you want to call it, was supposed to air next year. That seemingly has been brought forward to this year. So it was kind of... I don't think the BBC ever actually came out and said, yes, this is going to drop in 2026. I think it was just people found it on like TV listings websites and other bits and bobs as the date that it was, or the year that it was going to go out, which was meant to be next year. But in this news story and in some other bits, it does say that this is going to head to BBC iPlayer and BBC One later this year. So we are taking an educated guess that it's probably going to drop December, and we'll go through and finish up in February-ish around that time. And then this is not brand new news, but they did mention it in the story as well, that we still have that animation coming for CBeebies, which is being made at the moment. That'll probably be out next year as well. And then, next year we'll finish with this new Christmas special, which is being produced by Bad Wolf and BBC Studios for the BBC. Who knows where the money's coming from for that? Tess Daly, Claudia Winkleman's salaries, who knows? Who knows? So, guys, over to you to get your thoughts on this one. Are you shocked, surprised, or are you like, yep, we could see this coming a mile off? And are you looking forward to Doctor Who being back on our screens for Christmas Day yet again?
All I can say is thank God. Thank God we have some certainty at last, because I think the worst thing was that we had no idea what was happening. And I think we've all been in this kind of, I can speak for myself here. I feel like I've been caught up in like the echo chamber of, because we don't know what's going on, jumping straight to thinking Doctor Who's cancelled. It's not going to come back for another 5 years. The show is dead. It's as dead as it's ever been. Blah, blah, blah. But it's, obviously, I think it was always going to come back like in a year or a year and a half. I think they just needed to get through that red tape, small print, and kind of sort out what was going on with Disney. And which, let's be honest, it was always obvious that it was heading towards its end, that partnership, because if it wasn't, then we would have had a season 3 in the pipeline by now with Ncuti Gatwa. All I can say is thank goodness we know what's happening. and we're still going to speculate because they've kept their cards very close to their chest. We don't know if this is going to be Billie Piper centric. I mean, most likely it will be. Maybe Billie Piper and David Tennant, as the rumors have it. But yeah, no, this is I think this is good news. I think it's it's good to know that we have a date in mind, and who knows whether it will go back to being a janky BBC show, or probably the most likely outcome, they'll find another streaming partner, because Doctor Who's just too expensive to make nowadays on the BBC budget alone. At least that's how I understand it. So yeah, no, this is good. And as for The War Betwixt, which I think I prefer as a title, or actually no, I prefer Surf and Turf. As for Surf and Turf, I'm going to choose to look forward to it. I think I've been quite pessimistic around The War Between the Land and the Sea, because a Sea Devil unit spin-off isn't initially what I would want. Like, it wouldn't be my choice as a spin-off, but I'm going to choose to look forward to it. It might be really good, and it would be really cool, actually, if it was on during the festive season as a kind of replacement for a Doctor Who Christmas special this year. Matt was saying in our chat earlier on that, I think it was Matt, that it could be a like Children of Earth thing where they do like one a night over the festive season. That would be really cool. But yeah, whenever we get it, however we get it, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to choose to look forward to it because, what else am I going to do?
Yeah, I think that could be a sleeper hit, that one. I think that could be.
It might end up being like a Rogue One Star Wars kind of situation where like the spin-off media, the supplement, is the best thing to come out of the Disney era of Doctor Who. Who knows?
Who knows? Maria, what are your thoughts on... I assume you can't wait for the Crimbo special next year. I can see your eyes lighting up. She can't wait, look.
Sorry, wait while I stop laughing, won't you? I don't know. I did wonder why it's come out now, in terms of what they're doing. I suppose it could be something in terms of, they do want to end the speculation. And I'm wondering if it's something because we've got Lindsay Salt. She's a relatively new person, I understand, at the BBC. I think she's only been there probably about 6 months. It was positive that that it was made clear that Doctor Who wasn't going anywhere. So I think I was initially kind of worried that it would maybe be, when they said that Doctor Who isn't going anywhere, that we were looking at the CBB series that they're proposing to make. And I thought, well, is that what they mean? I'm glad the speculation has been finished. The only thing I will say is, this kind of break in between series is nothing really. I mean, if we were going to do a Wilderness Years, it would have been obviously over a few years, and that might still be a long time before we get a new series. I mean, it's good that we've got a Christmas special coming out. I do have my reservations that Russell T Davies is writing it, because I mean, let's be fair. I mean, the way the series was left, with the Billie Piper reveal, I think has left a lot of fans kind of questioning, what he was planning. So I suppose this is a good opportunity for him to kind of wrap up everything. I mean, it is quite interesting, the wording that Lindsay Salt uses, because she says, "We're delighted that Russell T Davies has agreed to write us another spectacular Christmas special." So whether this is just a farewell episode for him to kind of tie everything up, kind of finish all the stories, or kind of tie up everything in terms of all the queries around the series. Maybe, obviously who Billy Piper is. I'm assuming that David Tennant will be back at some point. I'm assuming maybe the 14th Doctor will make an appearance at some point. Those two characters seem to kind of will probably work together. But I'm assuming this is just a tie-up for him, because it doesn't say that he's going to be involved in the new series or who's going to be doing it. So I'm wondering, is this a final episode of Bad Wolf as well? I'm a bit disappointed, really, that we don't know about a new showrunner, because I think the series really needs it. But I'm hoping that that's going to come with the new series, because they are talking about a new series as well. I'm not surprised that Disney Plus didn't renew. I'm not surprised that they didn't renew. I think we knew it was all on the cards, really, that they weren't going to come back. I'd be interested to kind of know what the final viewing figures would have been for them. I think the positive would have been that that Doctor Who was went out to a larger audience. So if there's a positive, maybe that's a positive to take from it, is that it did go out to a wide audience. It's a shame about the viewing figures. I know everyone says viewing figures don't matter, but I personally think they do. But I'm not surprised that they didn't want to do any more. Possibly the series, didn't go in the direction that they were hoping for. I think there was a really good opportunity with Disney to kind of use that money wisely, and I don't think, to be honest, it was used that wisely over the two series that we had. So in terms of where the money should have gone, so I'm not surprised. They didn't want to kind of come back, and it's probably been an open secret that they weren't going to come back. So not surprised about that. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, they've got a year, obviously, with the Christmas special to kind of sort out all the underlying storylines that we've got, and hopefully tie everything up with a fresh start for a new series. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm a bit disappointed with RTD coming back, but hopefully it's just a one-off and then he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that unless we get some kind of announcement that Russell has left, I don't think it's really weird. There was a couple of other Doctor Who podcasts who a few weeks ago said that they've got exclusive news that Russell's been sacked and all this rubbish. He clearly hasn't been sacked. This is not the BBC haven't sacked anybody. This feels to me like just a natural progression between the shows as it is now coming to a kind of natural end as Disney are departing and the spin-off's going to be done and wrapped up. And then, as you said, Maria, the Christmas special then gives you opportunity for Russell to bring his era of the show full circle, sort of again, for the second time around. And but it wouldn't surprise me if he stays on in some capacity, and then we get a new showrunner and so on. So I think that's going to be the case.
I mean, if he was to be like an executive producer on it, but didn't actually have any input into the stories or maybe the direction, then I would say that's okay. But I think if he's there in some capacity where he's influencing the direction that the series goes in going forward, I don't think that's necessarily a positive for the show, because I really think it needs fresh ideas. It needs somebody to come in, somebody to look at it with a fresh eye, really. Somebody that's not that familiar with it. Maybe somebody that isn't even a fan of the show, but is good at drama, because it needs drama. It needs something, or it needs somebody that's got an interest in sci-fi as well, because I think the sci-fi element wasn't there enough for me. I think it was. I don't know. It's very difficult to say. But
difficult one.
It is a difficult one. You know, I mean, the reason why I go back to classic Who is because, you know, there's a lot of sci-fi elements in classic Who. It doesn't have its soap opera moments, if that kind of makes sense. You know, there's not. It's always about the story, and it's normally around some kind of sci-fi idea. And I think the series, I don't know if the BBC. Do the BBC kind of understand what it needs? I don't know. I'm hoping that this isn't just a. I'm hoping that that they learn from the last few series, that they learn the mistakes that have been made in terms of, you know, how do they attract new viewers to the show? You know, they're only going to do that if it's got a really strong concept. It needs to go back to the man in a box that goes traveling, I think, you know, and I think it needs a really strong, it needs somebody to really drive it, and it's not RTD that needs to drive it anymore. He can't drive it anymore. I think it has to be somebody else. I don't know. It's very difficult, and without knowing, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how many episodes of a new series that they're going to offer. Are they going to keep to 8, or they're going to make it a longer series? I don't know. It's really difficult to say, but yeah, it's positive. Yeah. I'm glad that we've got a Christmas special. I mean, I hope that there's a fresh idea in there, but you know, it is really just to probably wrap up everything from the era, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I'd say so. I'd be surprised anyway if they announced at some point in the near future the newer series after the Christmas special that Russell would still be here as showrunner and all that stuff. I'd be surprised anyway, put it that way. But
I'm just thinking when a new series might drop. I probably think 27, maybe 2027, 2028, maybe.
Yeah, it probably the end of sort of summer, autumn of 27 at the earliest, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. It's still going to be quite a long gap between anything substantial.
Yeah. So get your classic DVDs out. Fire up iPlayer, ITVX.
Oh, there's no excuse to watch all of classic Doctor Who now, is there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Better get on it.
Yeah. Get your Big Finish out. Give all that a listen. So yeah. But as Maria said, it is positive news overall, because as well as a lot of people having their fingers crossed and all that stuff for Russell leaving and all that, the viewpoint from the BBC, and it's good to have it from the horse's mouth. And I'm quoting Lindsay Salt here, where she says the BBC remains fully committed to Doctor Who, which continues to be one of our most loved dramas. We can assure fans the Doctor is not going anywhere, and we will be announcing plans for the next series in due course, which will ensure the TARDIS remains at the heart of the BBC. So I think that's like a message to say, chill, everyone. There's going to be a bit of a break, but fear not. The BBC still considers Doctor Who as one of its best. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
They've realised that fans do spend a lot of money on Doctor Who on Doctor Who DVDs and probably Blu-rays as well. So, you know, it's good that it's not going anywhere, because they know that it will make money for them in the long term.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. It's a shame that Matt and Jordan are not here, because I'm sure they would have some big opinions on this, but I hope they get better soon. They're poorly, bless them. A bit of man flu in the Big Blue Box Towers. They're in isolated wings, recuperating. So, but yeah, let's take a guess. What would Matt think? He'd probably be like, well, I bloody love the fact that Doctor Who is coming back at some point. I know my love. I'd bloody love another Crimbo special, I would, with Russell. Bloody brilliant.
Are you sure?
It's like he's in the room.
His comment was damn in the chat. So take from that what you will. I'm not going to speak for him, but
I don't know. Yeah, and Jordan's probably in the same boat as you, Maria.
He's probably enjoyed the last couple of seasons more than we have, I think, and is probably looking forward to a Crimbo special. But at the same time, he's probably eager for some sort of fresh new Doctor Who as well, I would say, as we all are. So, yeah. Right, that's the bombshell that's dropped directly from the Beeb today in the world of Doctor Who. It's so weird having like official Doctor Who news. I remember when we started the podcast up many moons ago, Adam and I, we used to have loads of official news to talk about every single week. It was mad. Like every week there was an interview with Stephen Moffat or Russell or Chibbers, or an interview with an actor or a new thing or something. It was an event. It was just crazy. But now it's like you have to wait for the tumbleweed to go past the road for a few months, and then you get one thing like this. And
you lived the glory years, you and Adam. You had the glory years where you had news every week, and something was coming out.
Yeah, it's mad.
And the merch was good as well.
It was, yeah. We had back, listeners, if you're not aware, years ago when it was just before the roundtables, before this lot gate crashed the podcast, it was just myself and Adam talking about stuff, and we actually had to have a proper dedicated merch corner segment because there was like stuff, like loads of Doctor Who collectibles and merch pretty much every week. It was, yeah. Ah, the good
Dalek
old days.
Tat.
Hey.
You know what?
Dalek Tat is wondering where it's gone.
Dalek Tat.
Tat.
He needs to come back.
Dalek Tat.
Bring him
Bless
back
him.
in time for Christmas 2026, Gary.
Yeah.
Back in time for the return of Doctor Who. Again.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Should we talk about the Aztecs?
Let's do it.
Barbara? Barbara? What on earth are you doing there?
They think I'm a reincarnation of that priest in the tomb. I found this and put it on, and when the high priest caught me, I was still wearing it.
So he thought you were a god?
Yes.
If the Aztecs decide you're not what you're supposed to be, then we shall all die. This is not Yetaxa. This is a false goddess! And I shall destroy her.
Famine, drought, and disaster will come.
Where will it end, Yetaxa?
In total destruction.
But you can't rewrite history. Not one line!
You're monsters.
Sweet favored man,
All of you monsters.
You have betrayed us.
you have declared your love for me,
I shall destroy you!
and I acknowledge and accept your gentle proposal.
The story that Maria wanted to. Before we get on with that, though, I did track down the original scores for that. We Adam and I reviewed it back in 2016 for episode 93, and I gave it a 9 out of 10, and Adam gave it an 8.5 out of 10. So we had. And I remember I watched this. I watched 2 episodes last night, and then the remaining 2 today. And yeah, I'll tell you if my thoughts have changed on that, if it's still a 9 or whatever. But Maria, why did you want to look at the Aztecs?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Gary. There's so many stories in Galactic Who that I kind of thought, when you guys said to me, because I'd missed the last round table, unfortunately, and you said to me, pick a story. So I thought, well, how can I possibly do that? Because there's so many good stories out there. So I put it into the TARDIS randomizer, and it came up with the Aztec. So, you know, it obviously knows what
You put it in the what?
the TARDIS randomizer.
You got your own TARDIS?
You got your own
my
TARDIS?
And I put it in the randomizer, and it came up with the Aztec.
Hold the phone. What? You've not mentioned this before.
What do you think? What do you
Crikey.
think all of this is around me?
This is Maria in the morning, isn't it? Right, what should we have for breakfast? Randomizer. Hit me. What you got?
I've got a food machine that.
Eggs and broccoli.
I've got the food machine next door, and it kind of produces these little cubes of egg and bacon in the morning.
Deary me.
But yeah, it was done purely at random. purely at random, not my choice, because I think I would have probably gone for Peter Davison. So I
shut
thought,
up.
well, no, we won't do that. We won't do that.
Okay, Maria. What Doctor's era do you want to review the most? Let's have 3 guesses. We'll get it in one probably.
Do you know what you guys have, didn't tell me which stories you hadn't seen, because I said tell me the stories that you haven't seen, and then I'll pick something from there. Nobody came back. You guys are like you're all off living your lives and doing whatever you're doing, and nobody kind of came back to me. So
Just in Peterborough.
So. Yeah, you were off in Peterborough. Okay, you're excused.
I'm always in Peterborough. Yeah.
Okay, so as randomizer aside, what made you want to look at the Aztecs?
Well, okay, the fact that I didn't run the randomizer again was I thought the Aztecs is actually a really good. The Aztecs is actually it's a historical,
Yeah.
which I think gets overlooked sometimes in Doctor Who. It's an example of a good historical, because it's still got that element of educational. I mean, I think we're about 6 stories in with this, so it's actually really kind of, the storytelling is quite ambitious in that it's obviously trying to do its educational remit, which I think it does, because I think I did learn some things from it, and I'm a mature adult, but I love kind of learning something new from it, and I think there's an element of that in Doctor Who that is important, and I think it's 4 episodes as well. So it means it's not one of those stories that's kind of padded out a lot. So I thought it was a good example of a historical. You've got your original TARDIS crew. Let's just get stuck into it. Why not? It's a good story.
Okay. And Harry, is this a new one for you, or have you dived into 15th century civilizations in Doctor Who before?
I've watched the Aztecs a few times. Several years ago on W, the channel Watch, when it went through a phase where it was just called W because they were trying to be posh. They did an omnibus of the Aztecs, and I watched it and I thought, this is rubbish. There's no monsters in it and it's terrible. But I watched it again, I think it was like 2022, and rewatched it for the podcast. Just after I went to Peterborough for the millionth time. And this story is an absolute classic. I love it. I had such a turnaround with it when I watched it again a few years back, because I remember thinking it was boring, but then I watched it again and I thought, this format for Doctor Who, like the original format of like just going back in time and like getting involved in a conflict, no bug-eyed monsters, just kind of a pure historical. It really, really works. It to be honest, and having seen all of the first Doctor's era, and seen all these pure historical stories before they ended, I think it was at the Highlanders with Patrick Troughton. I'm really surprised that it didn't stick, because most of those stories that are just purely historicals, where the TARDIS team just get embroiled in some shenanigans, and like in this story, literally the stakes are, I mean, they could all die, but also they might not get back in the TARDIS, they might not get home. It's kind of like, it's very simple. It's a very simple story, but it's excellent, and it's thoroughly entertaining, and it didn't need a monster. It didn't need a monster at all. I just I feel like this format really, really works, and the Aztecs encapsulates it, because they capture the setting really well, in so much as they can with shoestring budget, and the characterizations are really good, and Platoxel, even though he's just a bloke, is a really captivating villain, and hell-bent on proving Barbara as not an Aztec goddess, I like, I'm just amazed by how fantastic it is. For the fact that it's just a pure historical, and the format just really, really works. And I think if you're going to reinvent the wheel, because we're always talking about Doctor Who doing something different and wanting to, to see new stuff in the show and not retread old ground, I think you should go back to basics. I think we should bring back the pure historical, because I think in the Aztecs, it really bloody works.
You make a good point about the story not needing a monster like your typical Doctor Who monster to for them to either escape from or stuff like that. It's replaced though with this very nice multi-threaded sort of morality sort of story in a way, because the thing that appeals to me the most, I'm only referencing this in your comment about the monster, is that the monster is are the human beings, in some respects. I think that's there's this constant kind of morale, because Barbara assumes this kind of position as goddess quite literally, where she feels she has the power to save all of these people, because this concept of human sacrifice was so sort of ingrained into their kind of culture and way of life. It seemed very alien to Barbara. She was like, well, I can't let this happen. I can't let all these people die. And the Doctor tries to drum it into her, you can't interfere. You can't stop all that stuff, because you interfere with history and it goes, it all goes to pop sort of thing, and you can't change it and that sort of thing. And then she's like, oh, I don't know, she's torn. She's like, yeah, she's listening to the Doctor, and there's a funny scene where he actually really rips into her quite heavily, and then she starts to have a little cry, and and they reconcile. But up to that point, he was pretty miffed, and then that sort of rolls downhill. So then she takes on that kind of thing where, okay, what's the catalyst for this? And it's embodied by two main characters, right? You've got Latoxel and what's the other guy's name? The sort of the nicer one.
Ortlock.
Yes, yeah. So he's he kind of embodies this kind of nice human spirit, all that sort of stuff. And Latoxel's very much we'll just kill everyone if it comes to it, and human sacrifice is the only way to appease the gods and all this stuff. And so she's torn between that. So yes, the absence of a monster on the surface on paper might be that might equal a lame story for Doctor Who, but in reality it's replaced by these very, very well written, layered, sort of threaded concepts throughout the story. And then the Doctor obviously having his little love story and on the sidelines, and Harry going off to be the warrior. And it's you make a good point, but it's I think there is something about the historicals, because you often think, okay, if I went back in time, how would I live in that time? How would I exist? So, like you said, you've got Ian that gets kind of drafted into the army. You've got Susan that goes off to be in the seminary. They kind of put her in the seminary. And Barbara's obviously assumed this goddess kind of role. And the Doctor is kind of considered too old, and he has to go into the Garden of Peace, where he meets what's the name of the lady that he meets, that he makes the cocoa for? Kameka. Thank you. Yeah, Kameka.
Yep.
So yeah, it is really interesting, because obviously you're travellers from another time. So how do you fit into that world? And obviously Barbara's got this kind of clash of her worldview with the worldview of the Aztecs, who see nothing wrong with sacrificing people. And one of the most interesting bits was when you've got those characters that are going to be sacrificed, and they're thinking that it's actually an honour for them to die. So, that would go against everything that we would kind of imagine about, that people want to live and they want to thrive and survive. But, you've got these people that are happy to die for, so that the rains will come. So it's a really interesting clash of world views, and I think that's where the historicals can probably really work. I mean, that's why I love listening to Marco Polo as well, because you get these different viewpoints, different world views. So I think Harry's right. There is a place for historicals within Doctor Who, but they tend to kind of link his places in history with monsters. So, you've always got a monster that's hanging around in history now or doing something. So you've always got that kind of runaround, trying to defeat the monster. But there's probably a more interesting story to tell if it's a pure historical. I mean, I don't think they've done one, have they? They haven't done a pure historical in the new series. I can't think of one. I don't think they have. Maybe there's a place to do it, and actually explore these ideas. I mean, I kind of love the idea that, Barbara is trying to fight a whole civilization, really. And I suppose it's inevitable that, she's going to fail, and, the Doctor acknowledges that. And there's some lovely moments where, you kind of get the sense that he's tried, because he says to her at one point, you can't do this. It's against, you can't change the course of history, because that was what they had to do. And then I think he says, I know, I've tried, or something like that. He says something like that during the story. So I don't know whether the Doctor has tried to change history. And it's really interesting that at this point, obviously, we're only into the first series, and there's already these rules being laid down about what you can and can't do as a time traveller. The fact that you're not allowed to kind of influence anything. You have to kind of walk very lightly wherever you go. You have to you can't influence world events and things like that. You have to kind of walk very lightly in history. I mean, of course they then changed that in the series going on, because what came to mind for me was things like Genesis of the Daleks, where the Doctor is invited by the Time Lords to go back in time and try and change the history of their creation. So, they've obviously had a turnaround. There's obviously been a switch for some reason that, the Time Lords used the third Doctor, I think, and the fourth Doctor to kind of do a bit of dirty work for them in terms of trying to change histories or go and influence things. There's obviously a turnaround in the history of Doctor Who, in that, he's actively kind of influencing things. And then you've got things like the fifth Doctor in when he's back in the Visitation, and the bakery is satellite. Obviously he's got pteroleptals there and things like that. But they've really changed that now about Doctor Who, haven't they? He seems to go in and interfering in different events. And then you've got David Tennant saying, he's the Time Lord victorious, because he's changed Adelaide's future. Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
right.
It's very interesting that they kind of changed that. At that time in the first series, it's very much around kind of walking very lightly and not changing anything. But then it all gets changed later. So yeah, I think there's some really interesting stories that can be told. If they do some pure historicals. I would love to see a pure historical come back. Not something that doesn't have a monster. How would they deal with a story like that? That didn't have a sci-fi element in it. I don't know if they could do it these days.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible, right? Any kind of stories is possible. It's just it takes the right the right vision from a writer to get that across. I think the challenge with modern television today is that you run into this this smartphone problem, where you have a majority of people. I'm not throwing shade here, but typically sort of the younger generation who tend to watch two screens at a time these days, where they've got Netflix on or Disney or something.
and they've got their phone on as well, and they're browsing TikTok and Insta or whatever it might be, and it almost feels like the TV show is on in the background almost, and it's kind of their attention is kind of flitting between the two. And so if you were to do a historical, it's the kind of story where if you miss a little bit of it, then you're buggered, if that makes sense. Like you can't, you have to, I mean, I guess it depends on where you set it, right? If you try and do something too clever and too intricate, then you run the risk of younger viewers, the very people that they're trying to attract to watch the show. Then you run the risk of those guys not really keeping up with the details, and then
Isn't that just so heartbreaking though? Like we have to think about whether things are too intricate or too clever. Like that's really heartbreaking, because it's because yes, with the kind of the Disney era of Doctor Who, maybe a little bit before that as well, to be fair, they were probably thinking, is this second screen enough? Can someone also look at their tablet and look at the TV screen? Whereas like the Aztecs, I mean, what I really love about this story, and I don't know whether it's like exclusive to the fact that it's a historical, is that there isn't really, I mean, I feel very lighthearted watching it, but there isn't really like a lighthearted outcome, because like you were saying, Maria, what Barbara's trying to do is futile. She's trying to like change a historic civilization. She's trying to impart her modern day values on this situation where they're not going to see the same logic as Barbara does, because they think this is just what we do. We sacrifice people. It's the will of the gods, and it's kind of, it's utterly futile. But there's a glimmer of hope, because Ortlock sees a different way of life, and then he goes off at the end, and then he pursues it, and in amongst all of that, you got this little romance, this kind of cute little romance going on between the Doctor and Kamika, and it's that bit at the end where he puts down that bit of jewelry, and then he thinks before he goes in the TARDIS, actually, I'm going to pick that up, and then I like to think that he probably takes that out sometimes and thinks of her and thinks, oh, that was a nice time, that was a nice little engagement that I had randomly.
Can I ask you, Harry?
I don't know. It just comes. Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, Harry, what did you think of the dialogue? Because I think that the dialogue is quite intricate at times. What did you think of it? You're younger than me. What did you think watching it? Did you find it difficult to follow? This story is obviously in half hour episodes with a cliffhanger at the end. Did you find it hard to follow?
Yeah, I think when I watched it as an omnibus, especially watching it as an omnibus as a teenager, kind of like a 100-minute black and white movie, it's very dense, and that's kind of, it's not that it's hard to follow necessarily, but it's not as like interesting. I feel like for me, I have to give it my full attention, because it was made for people in the 1960s who had sensibilities and attention spans at the time that could, I guess, handle that. Whereas, I kind of have Gen Z, modern day sensibilities, unfortunately, modern day attention span. I hate to admit it. Sometimes I do find myself looking at the old phone while I'm watching TV, which is, I reflect on it. I think
Star Trek.
I quite like it.
But sorry, Maria. The dialogue. Yeah, I think I come from the theatre, so like I don't mind kind of something that's like really wordy, and like Shakespeare's very wordy, so like I'm kind of used to that in a way. But yeah, I do have to give it my full attention in order to absorb it all, because it is quite dense.
Thou'st wouldn't execute thy fellow man. I don't know how you would
damn right
say that in
I won't start
I
soliloquizing.
like the
soliloquizing?
theatricality of it. There's something quite theatrical about the Aztecs, and there's some lovely little scenes, and then it's quite theatrical. The guy that plays Le Tocqueville, he's very kind of like he comes across like he's on the stage. He's very like kind of Richard III, kind of devious and cunning. It's a bit like a Shakespeare play, I think, the Aztec, because you've got your good guys and you've got your bad guys. And there's a few people that die in it as well.
Yeah, John Ringham, who plays Le Tocqueville, is very theatrical in his delivery for a lot of his lines. He is a lot like who's the guy from the David Collins?
David Collins.
I think
you think
the actor's
so?
name is. Yeah, that another guy who's like very kind of theatrical and sort of chews the wood a little bit on a lot of scenes. But I found out with John Ringham in this, he was like the opposite almost to Keith Piot, who played Ortlock, who was very sort of understated in the way that he he did it. Maybe because he was knocking on a bit at this point, but he was very much. I think he was just had enough and was just. It was almost like Barbara was this kind of excuse that he needed just to be like, all the drama can be deflected to these other people for a bit,
he wanted to go off into the wilderness. He'd had enough.
Yeah. He's like, I don't really care. But no, I get your point though with Le Tocqueville. He was he was almost like he was being like a Disney villain,
maybe. Yeah.
In some respects, because even when he was like, if you were to close your eyes or if you were to listen to this, like say for example, if the episodes were lost, but the audio had survived and you were listening to this and you couldn't see it, you could still imagine his face like delivering those lines. So even though he's like really, quite melodic with how he delivers the lines, his face was always like,
like he's chewing a wasp.
You guys can't listen. You can't. Yeah. Listener, you can't see our impressions.
It's that like peacock. It's probably not a peacock. But like it's probably
the headpiece.
Yeah. Like it's it works. It really works. He's fantastic in it. Yeah.
What did you guys think to our TARDIS team in this then? So we've spoken about Barbara a little bit, and Susan, bless her, she kind of gets left a little bit on this one. She's in it for a bit, of course, but if you hadn't seen this one, like if you guys had not said, let's do the Aztecs for the round table, I think the last time I watched this was probably about 5-6 years ago. And I honestly couldn't tell you, what Susan did in it if I hadn't seen it yesterday and today. So, Susan's obviously in it a little bit. Spoken about Barbara. What did you think to Ian in this one then? Because it seems like back in the day when they realised that by casting quite an older gentleman as the Doctor, he obviously wouldn't be able to get involved in like the physical, I'm not going to say stunt work as such, it wasn't really that extreme, but fight scenes, weapons, shoving people around. William Hartnell obviously wouldn't have been able to have done that. So they gave that stuff to Ian to do. So he has this, and I think you alluded to this stuff, Harry, in a really nice article that you put out about William Russell and in his performances and so on, that he had this lovely mix of like good guy, action hero, being able to just get stuff done, when the Doctor was off doing whatever the hell he was doing. So what did you guys think to Ian in this one?
Well, I mean, he obviously steps up, and he's got the part of obviously being in the army, and he's got to fight Ixta. And I find that all quite entertaining. I mean, the sword fighting does look really slow, to be fair. you know, they are kind of parrying a little bit, and it's a little bit slow by modern standards. But and I love the way the other actor pronounces Ian, because he calls him Ian.
Ian,
So that makes me smile. But I think obviously his role, like you said, is to do the more physical stuff, and I think William Russell kind of does that to a T. He's so good at it. You know, he really gets stuck in. Because I remember, I think he's got stuff to do in Marco Polo as well, and in the Myth Makers as well. You know, he's got very physical kind of. Oh, is he in the Myth Makers? Or maybe no, he isn't in the Myth Makers, is he? There's another one that he gets. It's not the Myth Makers, I think. No, there's another one that he.
Maybe the Crusade.
Oh, maybe it's the Crusade. Yeah, sorry, it's not the Myth Makers. It's the Crusade.
He does he gets in a bit of a tussle in that one. So yeah.
Yeah, no, he actually plays that really, really well. I mean, you know, I can't say a bad word about William Russell. You know, he seems like such a nice guy, and I think he had experience because he played Sir Lancelot in a historical series. So, you know, obviously wearing armor or kind of having all that stuff on him, he doesn't seem to be fazed by any of it. You know, so, and I love that fight scene that he has at the end with Ixter, because I think he throws him off the edge of what they're on. Is it a pyramid? Yeah, I don't know what it is. Wherever they are, the platform.
Yeah,
wherever
like
they are.
Yeah.
So you know, I think it's wonderful. It really adds a bit of dynamism to the story. Dynamism. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
Yes. Yeah, he is very good in it. Yeah, and there's quite a few stories where a lot was put on William Russell, I think, because not only did he have to take care of like the physical side of things whenever it got tasty, but we have to remember that back in the day, William Hartnell just went on holiday for 2 episodes out of the 4 or whatever it was. So it was really down to William Russell to carry it a lot of times. So whenever I rewatch stories like this, where he's, it's huge respect for him. Not only him, but obviously Jacqueline Hill as well. And so we were saying, Maria, that Susan, bless her, she's not really in it much, is she?
Yeah, I know. She only gets a couple of scenes, really, doesn't she? Where she's in the seminary, and you know, she doesn't really do very much as handmaiden, to be fair to Barbara, you know. So, I mean, I feel a bit sorry for her because obviously she doesn't get enough to do in this story. It's sad, really.
Harry, what did you think to Mr. Hartnell?
Mr. Hartnell
throughout this one, because he's in every episode. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, he is. Which feels like a rarity, to be honest. But no, yeah, he's brilliant in it, and I think you can tell that. Well, I was going to say that you can tell that William Hartnell was particularly fond of William Russell, Jacqueline Hill, and Caroline Ford. Because they have such great chemistry, and they act very well together. But I think actually William Hartnell, whoever he's paired with, he's always fantastic. There's a narrative that he kind of gets a bit tired towards the end. Yeah, sure, he's in it less, but I think he always brings the spark and the whimsy. He's so whimsical. I just think he brings a really nice energy to the role, and it's because of him that the role is so iconic. He sort of set the standard. So I think he's great in this, and I love his little romance in it as well, and his reaction when he realizes that he's accidentally engaged to Kamika is just priceless. He plays it really well, pitch perfect. And I also really like the scene where he tells Ian that he knows the way to the TARDIS, and also that he had Coco and got engaged, and that's how he ended up finding out. And Ian's reaction is brilliant as well, and those two together are just they're just marvelous. Watching these episodes just really put a smile on my face. I love this opening era of Doctor Who, and as you know, I love William Russell. I love Ian. Ian Chesterton is probably my favourite companion, and I think what I wrote about him in the tribute that I wrote last year was that, you know, Ian's this kind of, he's got like this can-do attitude. So he's like, yeah, I'll become a gladiator, or I'll fight Ixter, or I'll kill him to save my friends. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's you know, it works. It really works because William Russell is so charming, and I'm just really, really happy that this character exists because he just puts a huge smile on my face. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's amazing. Agreed. Okay. So, I mean, sort of rounding stuff out, really, really good script by John Lucarotti and overseen by David Whittaker back in this era. And although the direction's nothing really to kind of shout home about, it's a little bit static in most places. You kind of forgive that, to be honest with you, just because this is all brand new territory for everybody involved. You know, it's the first run of Doctor Who, as we know. So, you know, everybody's sort of finding their feet. Surprisingly, the actors not so much. It feels like they just got them. They got the memo from day one. You know, their characters are very natural, and even in these early episodes, it's all very good. So, are there any sort of closing comments or anything you guys want to comment on this story before we wrap up? I'll get your scores as well in a sec.
I think obviously you're talking about how much of a team that they are, and I think obviously working, because they were doing it on a weekly basis in terms of how many episodes they got, they got out over the year. I think that obviously, you know, they bonded really well. That team, those, you know, that original team were just so kind of tight. I mean, okay, the characterization of Susan probably isn't as good as it should be, but I think in terms of how they work together, they seem to be very instinctive. The way they kind of work with each other and they support each other, you kind of get that coming through the stories. You know, they become very close as a unit, I think. So I think it really shows in the end product. I'm not sure where they recorded the Aztecs, whether they recorded it at Riverside Studios. I'll have to check actually. But I know it was a very small set that they had, a very small studio. So they probably, because obviously with the serial, it doesn't use that many sets from looking at it. So I imagine, was it Lime Grove? Okay, Maria. It might have been Lime Grove, which I think was even worse. So, I mean...
The first two episodes were Lime Grove, and then 3 and 4 was at Television Centre.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but you know, what they actually produced was, I think, really good in terms of the time that they had to kind of turn things around. I don't really have a bad word to say about this story. I think it stands up in terms of design and production. I mean, they've obviously got some beautiful costumes, and I really wish this was one of the stories that they decide to colorize, because I think a historical would be fantastic being colorized. I mean, they had some fantastic costumes, a great script from John Lucarotti. I can't really complain. I mean, this is kind of near the top for me in terms of story, which is always important to me. The story is really important for me personally.
Cool. Yeah, I agree. Harry, anything from you, buddy?
I mean, like Maria says, it's one of the best of all time. It's one of my favourites. I think, I mean, even though Caroline Ford was on holiday, I do really still like her little bit in the seminary, and her acting when she finds out she's been forced into a marriage is just so emotional and so superb. Carolyn Ford can really act. She just didn't get the best material as Susan Foreman, unfortunately. But no, I think they all have their moments in this. This is a masterclass in how you balance kind of the screen time and the characterization of like a TARDIS team where there's like a crowded TARDIS. I think, yeah, they did that very well. Love all of them. Love the Fab Four. Love all the supporting characters. Love the production. Love how they realized it all. I mean, with an amazing script from John Lucarotti and this production team, you know, you have a recipe for success. I can only imagine how wonderful it would be to watch Marco Polo, another historical by Lucarotti, because if it's anything like this, it would have been mega. But yeah, but that might never see the light of day, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll see a really cool animation at some point. But yeah, no, I absolutely love it, and it's stories like this which just make me, stories like the Aztecs that remind me why Doctor Who's my favourite show. It's fantastic.
Oh, nice, dude. Very nice. We've also got some rumblings and little whispers going on within the Who community at the moment about missing episodes making an appearance at some point in the near future. So you never know. Old Marco could be.
Oh, that would be so
Maybe.
good. Yeah, it would be.
Nice.
I mean, I was just a bit horrified when Harry said, you know, what if this story had been missing? And I don't know if you said it, Gary. Somebody mentioned something earlier, and I'm just thinking, what if this story didn't exist and we didn't have the episodes? I mean, it's just, you know, it's just unbelievable. The news about missing episodes is actually really good. I'm really heartened by that. You know, we just have to be patient and kind of just wait and see what comes out. But I think anything that kind of comes through, I'll be happy with it, really, because I think, you know, considering how the modern series has been left at the moment, you know, I think going back into Classic Who, kind of getting more stuff back for that would be fantastic. So yeah, I know we haven't really spoken about missing episodes, but yeah, I'll be very excited to see what comes back. Hopefully it won't be too long. You know, I'll wait a year and then I might complain. Yeah.
I mean, it could be perfect timing for the guys making the Blu-ray box sets, because they're still yet to go back to those early ones for that very reason. You know, they've got some animated stuff, but yeah, could be great timing for those guys. But okay, Maria, what would you score the Aztecs then?
Well, it works on a drama level. It's got the educational element in it, which was really good. I think the performances are all pretty much faultless. I don't think there's anything I can complain about in terms of performance. Although the guy, John Ringham? He's a little bit theatrical, but you know, okay, we'll give that a pass. I'd say I'll give it a high score. I'd say I'm torn between 8.5 and a 9. I'll say, 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. I think that's fair.
Okay, nice. Parry?
I'd probably give it a 9. A really strong 9, this one. I only wouldn't give it a 10 because, I don't know, I don't want to give out 10 out of 10s that freely nowadays, to be honest. But yeah, it's a definite 9 for sure. And even better, if you do what I did and watch the Aztecs in 4D, you watch it with a cup of cocoa in the middle. Have a little interval between parts 2 and 3 and make yourself a cup of cocoa, and then it's almost like you're there with them. So
I think if it was in colour, I think that I would notch it up to a 9 probably, because I think I love I love the richness of probably the costumes that they're wearing, and it's a shame it's in black and white because we can't see how good they probably are. So yeah, I'll say at 8.5.
Yeah.
But to be honest, it's not a story that I can have too many criticisms about. There's a lot worse stories out there.
Yeah. It's a shame that it's in black. The audacity of Verity Lambert to make Doctor Who when she did.
Well,
just the nerve of those people not having the foresight to stick a pin in it until colour TV had made an appearance.
I think ITV had colour series, didn't they, in the 60s? I'm sure they did. ITV did. So I don't know why it took the BBC so long to kind of get into colour. That's probably an interesting story, but yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Budget
probably.
and money, probably. Yes. Yeah, it's been wonderful revisiting the Aztecs. So good shout for wanting to do that one. It was great to rewatch it and give it a bit of a recap and our thoughts on it and stuff. So my score wouldn't change either. I initially gave it a 9 back in 2016, and that score's going to stay on that for me. I think a good 9. It's just such a wonderful sort of 4-parter. It's one of those kind of sweet spot stories where there's enough to fill mostly the 4 reps. If it was a 6-parter, I think we'd be in trouble. I think they'd struggle to stretch that out across 6. So the four parts is pretty cool.
There's no padding with this actually, and that's something that Doctor Who can struggle with. You know, you get to episode 3 and there's a load of padding before they finish the story. So yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot going on in this. To be honest, it doesn't really stop moving. Yeah.
Yes. Well, what a lovely story to go and look at for the October roundtable. I'm sure for the next one at some point in November, we will come back with whoever's going to be on a roundtable, whatever they want to review. We'll stick a vote in, and they can throw a name in the hat, and we'll do another story because this has been really cool. I love sort of diving back into stories that we did years ago or even just a year ago and revisiting and stuff, and more importantly getting your thoughts on it from the round table because luckily for you weren't around to hear Adam and I at the time recording in person. So
I don't think I've listened to the Big Blue Box podcast from the beginning. Maybe I need to. Have I got time?
You do not need to, Maria.
Have I got time to do it?
In between Star Trek, no, you don't. You got another 1,000 episodes of that to watch.
Have you done the pilot, actually? Have you done the pilot episode, Gary? You haven't, have you? Or have you? The pilot episode. You know, the first one before the one that they did, the first one that they did.
Oh, the first time round. No, I don't think we did. No, I think we just did An Unearthly Child, and that was your lot. Let me just confirm that quickly. Oh no, we did do hold on. Okay, so we did An Unearthly Child back in as episode 124, which we did in 2017, and we did talk about the pilot for a bit in that. So we did talk about the pilot in that review, but we didn't do like a dedicated full episode on it.
You should do an adventure.
It's an interesting episode, that one. Yeah,
that'd be a really cool review.
I can't.
Oh,
crying all over the place in the last third. I'll just be like, it was, and then Adam would have to be like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
That is true.
But I'd love to do it though. I would love to. Yeah, I would love to do that. In fact, I will add it to the list, and then we'll see what Adam says. He might be like, "Oh, for God's sake!"
And then you could do Dimensions in Time.
I think he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
If you can bear it.
yeah, when I was going through the list of things on the new website, one of the things is a complete list of every single story from Doctor Who and our sort of correlating podcast episode review to that story in one giant table. And as I was going through it, I've noticed, and Adam's going to kill me for saying this, I don't think I've told him yet, but we need to review all of the spin-off of K9 that they did, you know, the more modern version. So I think we've got like 20 odd episodes of this weird K9 thing that no one's heard of.
Oh, not the New Zealand one, the one you're
talking about. We need to...
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's like a whole half year of podcasts. That's great.
Yeah. So he's going to love that.
Where can you even get it? Like, it must be on DVD or something.
It's probably available. It's on
streaming
on
services
DVD. Probably you have to get it on DVD or something, or Blu-ray or whatever. Yeah.
Well, Disney are not going to. Yeah, they're not going to play ball anymore, are they? Disney,
not now,
they can be like, you guys can sod off. What's this? We want to talk to you about Doctor Who. Sod off. We've been burnt by you guys already. Yeah. Thank you very much. Ploughed a load of
Mickey
money.
Mouse
What,
just
for
ripped
nothing?
Up the contract, you know.
For 3 viewers in Seattle.
Nah, BBC got 100 million. Was it 100 million pounds? I mean, can you imagine what they could have done with what actually came out? I mean, yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. But yeah.
Yeah. They could have colorised the Aztecs for that.
Yeah, they could
twice
have
over. Anyways, I think that is a good point.
Just a quick one, Gary. You can get K9, the complete series, which is Region 1. I think Region 1 is... No, that's not in the UK. Oh, bugger it. You'll have to get a Region 1 DVD player as well then. And the tagline, which I think is hilarious, the tagline is... Who's a good dog?
Shut up. Oh, God. Anyway, that'll be fun, won't it, Adam? That'll be fun. So, anyway, on that chirpy one, that is a good note. That is a good time to stick a pin in it there, folks, for the October Roundtable. Thank you very much, dear listener, for checking back in for the monthly roundtable episode. That was, of course, October of 2025. Thank you very much to Maria and Harry for joining me to recap the big news that has landed this week, that the Beeb has got full commitment to Doctor Who moving forward. They have grabbed Disney by the scruff of the neck and thrown them out into the dumpster in the alleyway out of the back of the Badwill Studios. They're no more. See you later, dudes. Don't need you anyway. So that's the news for that. And we also chatted through the Aztecs. Wonderful to go down that little memory lane and rewatch that and chat about that too. And high scores for that one, of course, a 9, 8.5 all round for that one. Remember to follow and subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast app of choice. That way you won't miss the monthly roundtables, and when Adam and I get round to it, back to talk about news and other stuff on the regular show. You can also check out all of the reviews and articles that this lot write on the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk, and you can link off to the socials and the free Discord server. Maria, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, awesome, Gary. It's been brilliant being back on the roundtable.
Thank you very much, Harry. Good to get your thoughts as always, buddy.
Thank you, Gary. It's been awesome. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween indeedy. Hope you get some trick-or-treat candy to watch some Doctor Who over the weekend. And so we will be back at some point next month for the November Roundtable. So until then, take care of yourselves and remember...
Aaaaaaaallons-y.